Hey there, Cynthia with the Dinner Fix, where I help answer the question, what's for dinner? I'm going to be doing something a little different today. Typically, I'm demoing and featuring recipes for you all that I've made time and time again that, are favorites, and that's, the reason I choose to share them with you. But if you have been kind of following along with me on this journey, you'll notice I make a lot of different things, and that's because I really like variety in my diet. So I'm constantly kind of testing new recipes that I see online, that I see on TV, just trying new things inspired by my travels. So today I'm going to be making a recipe I've actually never made before, and it's a Japanese fried chicken. This is a recipe that was developed by the people at Milk Street. If you watch the program on public television, I'm not going to be making any adjustments to this recipe. Other than to scale it down. I'm dividing the recipe in half. This recipe, as written, makes 2 pounds of fried chicken, which for my husband and myself is more fried chicken than, well, maybe not more fried chicken than we can eat, but it's more fried chicken than maybe we should eat in a sitting. So I'm going to be scaling everything in half, but beyond that, I'm not making any adjustments. I think it's really important when you are making something for the very first time that you resist the temptation to kind of like, oh, well, I'm going to do this instead or tweak that. And I mean, that's all fine, but it makes it really hard to kind of objectively review a recipe and say like, yes, this was good, this was not, when you start changing things. So at any rate, I am talking a lot and I need to be cooking more. So let's get started. The recipe calls for a couple of things. So I talked about the chicken. I've got here, this is a pound of boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I am providing a link in the description below to show you how to remove the skin and the bones if you happen to not be able to find the boneless, skinless chicken thighs in the store. So you can do that yourself, but I've already done that in advance. The other thing we're going to need is it calls, and again, this is for half the recipe. I need 1.5 ounces piece of ginger that's been coarsely grated. And that's going to be a piece of about this size. And I just weighed this on a scale. I'm just going to coarsely grate this on the large holes on a box grater. As far as I can tell, the technique for this recipe is quite simple. It just does require some time because you need to marinate the chicken. And then once it's marinated, there's another kind of step that you complete and have to wait a little longer. But, nothing that's overly complicated in terms of technique to make this. All right, that looks pretty good. Let me just get all those little bits out. Now, the recipe says, let's move that aside. The recipe says to take these like bits of ginger and squeeze them over a large bowl. I'm doing this in a medium bowl again because I'm not cooking the full recipe, and just squeeze as much ginger as you can out of them, which this is actually quite a bit more ginger, I'll admit, than I thought I was going to be able to get out of this. All right, and then to just throw the ginger in there. And then we're going to add, I have here 1/2 tablespoon of lemon zest that I also grated on the box grater earlier. And then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of sake, which I keep on hand to cook with. I'm not a big sake drinker, but I do on occasion need it for the purposes of cooking. And then the other thing we're going to need is tamari. Now, this is a gluten-free soy sauce. I mean, I suppose you can sub regular soy sauce for this. The taste isn't exactly the same. The tamari soy sauce is actually a byproduct of miso paste. But yeah, so it's going to have a slightly different flavor. And then the other kind of main difference between this and the typical soy sauce you find in the store is that tamari doesn't have, or typically doesn't have any wheat in it, but you definitely want to check if you have like a gluten intolerance or you're trying to stay away from gluten to confirm. But at any rate, this is going to add some really, really yummy seasoning to this, I'm guessing, because it smells really, really good. So you've kind of got this marinade going, as you can see, right? And then we're gonna take our chicken, dump it in there if it slides out. All right, I'm just gonna use my hand. Chef's best tool, right? So the recipe says to coat this chicken, and then we're gonna stick this in the fridge and we're gonna allow it to marinate for at least 30 minutes up to an hour. All right, so our chicken's been marinating for 30 minutes in the fridge. So time to move on to the next step, which according to the recipe is we gotta dredge our chicken. Now, typically you see fried chicken recipes that call for flour. This is gonna call for cornstarch, which I suppose I don't find as surprising. You see this a lot in Chinese cooking. Cornstarch really provides a lot of crispness, though it's, I imagine, probably not gonna be a very kind of thick crust. It's gonna be, I'm guessing, a very thin, crispy crust. So got the cornstarch, I need a cup for that. And then I have here just a rimmed baking sheet lined with a wire rack. And what we're gonna do is we're going to add, I've got here half a teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper that we're gonna add to that cornstarch. And then the other ingredient we're gonna need for this, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it's called shichimi togarashi. I've got the McCormick here. This was surprisingly difficult to find, which was really, really obnoxious. Living in LA, I'm not accustomed to not being able to find ingredients. I can usually always find anything that I need, but I could not find this. So I actually had to order this on Amazon. Though in hindsight, I didn't think to look for this in like the spice aisle. I kept looking for this where all like the Asian food is, and I couldn't find it. But Amazon had this to me like in 2 days. Never cooked with this. I'm not sure what it tastes like, but let's maybe give it a taste because I'm curious. Let's see. Well, that's really spicy. It's got some heat to it. So the description here says that it's it includes chili, sesame, orange peel, nori, and more. I do taste that nori. It almost tastes like a spicy, like seaweed wrap on a sushi roll. It's quite good, so I'm guessing it's going to be really good in this chicken. And for this, we're going to need half a tablespoon. All right. Oh, there's some sesame seeds in there. All kinds of good stuff. All right, so let's add that in. I'm just going to give this a stir. All right, and what we're going to do now is we're going to take our chicken and then we're going to just dredge it in the cornstarch, and we're going to transfer it to our baking sheet or to our wire rack. Just kind of shake off the excess, and there's one piece. And we're just going to do that with this whole pound of chicken. All right, and here's our last one. We're just going to shake off the excess, and onto the rack it goes. So this is done. This is going to go, let's show this. These are going to go into the refrigerator where they're going to sit for another 30 minutes. So let's get these into the fridge. All right, so it's been 30 minutes, maybe a little over 30 minutes since our chicken went into the fridge. And you can see that the cornstarch has really kind of soaked up a lot of the marinade and has adhered to the chicken pretty well. And what I've done is I've prepared a fry station. So I have here a quart of vegetable oil that I've brought up to 375 degrees. And then over here, I've set up just a rimmed baking sheet lined with paper towel and a wire rack, to which we're going to transfer the chicken as it fries. So we're going to cook this. I'm going to just do half at a time. I don't want to overcrowd this. And this is going to fry till it's nice and golden brown on the outside. Just going to give this move this around just so that it doesn't stick together. Oh wow, that is really crispy. Wow. Wow, this is like some next level crispiness on this chicken. Wow. Let's see if I can show you on this camera. Look at that. Yowzers. I might have to start frying my chicken like this from now on. I don't think I've ever gotten such a crispy, like golden crust on fried chicken before. So it's been about 6 minutes. This chicken looks pretty fried, a nice golden brown. So we're gonna go ahead and just remove that from our oil. Transfer it to a rack. And what we're gonna do is in between batches, we're going to wait for our oil to come back up to 375 degrees before we fry the next batch of chicken. All right, in goes our second batch. So we're just gonna fry this just like the last batch until it's nice and golden brown on the outside, giving this the occasional stir just so that it doesn't stick. So with that done, I'm gonna move this off the heat. All right, and there you have it. Japanese fried chicken. Let's, I'm gonna wait for this to cool a minute and then we're gonna give this a taste. All right, so while I waited for our chicken to cool, I made a dipping sauce to go along with this chicken, and really it's just equal parts tamari, rice vinegar, a splash of sesame seed oil, and then some minced ginger. So kind of keep that aside, but let's give this a taste. So I'm gonna take one of the pieces that I fried from the first batch just because this will have cooled sooner and won't burn my mouth. And let's see what we got. I wanna taste it without the dipping sauce first. I mean, really crunchy. And I get the ginger. I'm not getting as much of that spiciness that I thought that I would get from the Japanese seasoning. There's like a slight heat, but not spicy at all. Let's try it with the dipping sauce. You need to make the dipping sauce. Kind of the acid in the rice vinegar really helps balance the fattiness from the fried chicken, and just adds like a punch of flavor. It's really quite good. If I am rating this on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being inedible, 5 being one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten in my life, I would rate this like a 4. You know, have I ever had you know, fried chicken that's as crispy as this? Probably not. Like, this is super crispy chicken. It was really simple to make. The hardest part, I guess, was just finding the tamari and the Japanese you know, seasoning that I couldn't find and had to order online. Would I make this again? Absolutely. I hope you give this one a try. And if there are any recipes that you would like me to test, maybe something that's kind of been bookmarked or saved to your phone that you've been meaning to try and just haven't gotten around to it, and maybe you'd like me to try that recipe, happy to demo it for you and let you know what I think. So just let me know in the comments below. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy.